There's one subtle mistake, almost impossible to notice, that many men make when hugging a woman without ever realizing it. Yet the moment it happens, her subconscious immediately interprets it as a lack of masculine presence. The reality is, most men were never truly taught how to hug a woman in a way that creates emotional impact. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 different types of hugs, what each one silently communicates to her on a psychological level, and then I'll reveal a 4th style of hug. That 4th one is what separates the men she remembers from the men who completely fade from her mind. And almost nobody talks about it. Stay with me because this isn't about criticizing you. It's about revealing something most men were never shown growing up. Something quiet, subtle, but incredibly powerful. Because real attraction is rarely created through huge dramatic moments. More often, it's built through tiny interactions that seem insignificant on the surface, but leave a lasting emotional imprint. And one of the strongest examples of that is the hug. Think back to the last time you hugged a woman. Not just what you physically did, but what she may have experienced emotionally. Did she naturally lean into you or slightly pull away? Did the interaction feel smooth and effortless or a little tense and awkward? Did the moment stay with her afterward or disappear the second it ended? Be honest with yourself here, and if you've ever felt like something about these interactions wasn't quite right, but you couldn't explain why, that confusion ends today. Because what you were sensing was real, and we're about to break it down clearly. I'm Emily Carter from the Female Game YouTube channel, and my purpose is simple. I help men understand what women often feel internally, but rarely express directly. No mind games, no confusing signals, just clarity. Before we go deeper, there's something important you need to hear. If you've been getting this wrong, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It simply means nobody ever taught you. You learned how to dress well, how to hold conversations, how to make impressions. But when it came to physical connection and emotional presence, you were expected to figure it out on your own. So let go of any embarrassment or past mistakes. Today is about awareness, and awareness changes everything. Here's the psychological truth most men overlook completely. Women feel first and think second. While you're mentally analyzing the situation, wondering whether it's the right moment or whether you should go for the hug, her nervous system has already formed an emotional impression of you. Not consciously, not logically, but instinctively. This happens because of a deeper emotional processing system in the brain that reacts faster than conscious thought. Which means before you've even finished thinking, should I hug her right now? Her body has already decided whether your energy feels calm, secure, confident, grounded, uncertain, or uncomfortable. And this is why hugs matter far more than most people realize. A hug bypasses words entirely. It skips over logic and surface level conversation and goes directly into emotional perception. Within only a few seconds, her body is unconsciously answering questions she may not even realize she's asking. Does this man feel emotionally steady? Does he feel safe? Does he feel comfortable in himself? Does his energy feel centered? You can say all the right things. You can be funny, intelligent, charming, even physically attractive. But if the hug feels wrong, her emotional system quietly overrides everything else. Suddenly the attraction weakens, and she may not even understand why it happened. That's why this topic matters so much. Now let's talk about the first mistake that destroys attraction faster than most men understand. The weak hug. You've definitely seen this before. Maybe you've even done it yourself without noticing. The arms barely connect. The body stays distant, almost like there's an invisible wall between both people. The pressure feels hesitant or uncertain. Sometimes it turns into that disconnected one-arm side hug that feels more polite than genuine. On the surface, it can seem respectful, safe even. But emotionally, it communicates uncertainty. It tells her you're holding back, unsure of yourself, uncomfortable with the moment, or afraid to fully step into the interaction. And her subconscious interprets that instantly as a lack of grounded masculine energy. Not aggression, not dominance, presence. Imagine meeting someone you're attracted to. There's chemistry, curiosity, maybe even tension. Then he hugs you in a way that feels nervous, cautious, almost apologetic. It feels like his body is asking for permission instead of confidently entering the moment. What emotion does that create? Usually not rejection, not disgust, just uncertainty. An attraction struggles to grow in uncertainty. It needs something emotionally solid to attach itself to. The weak hug removes that feeling completely. Now let's move to the opposite side of the spectrum, because this mistake is just as damaging, sometimes even worse. The aggressive hug. This usually happens when men try to compensate for being too hesitant. They decide they need to appear stronger, more confident, more assertive, and they overcorrect. The hug becomes too tight, too forceful, too long. Their hands begin moving in ways that don't match the energy of the moment. Instead of connection, the experience becomes overwhelming. And this is the key distinction you need to understand. Intensity is not the same thing as presence. When a hug feels aggressive, her body does not interpret it as confidence. It interprets it as poor awareness, lack of emotional control, and most importantly, weak understanding of boundaries. Her subconscious immediately asks one very simple question. Does this man understand space? Because if someone mishandles something as basic as a hug, her mind naturally wonders what else he may fail to understand emotionally. This is how attraction disappears almost instantly. Not because you committed some terrible act, but because you unintentionally created tension instead of emotional safety. And once discomfort enters the interaction, her body quietly closes off, even if she continues smiling. Even if she says nothing outwardly. Internally, the emotional connection weakens. Let me paint a real-world example for you. A woman meets a man at a social event. He's charismatic. The conversation flows easily. He maintains eye contact, makes her laugh, and she genuinely enjoys his energy. She's interested, open, comfortable. Then comes the hug. He pulls her in too quickly. His grip tightens more than expected. He lingers slightly too long. Maybe his hand placement crosses into uncomfortable territory without him even realizing it. In that exact moment, something changes. She doesn't dramatically pull away. She doesn't make a scene, but internally, her nervous system registers discomfort. A boundary feels crossed. And suddenly, instead of feeling emotionally drawn toward him, she becomes more cautious and guarded. Meanwhile, the man walks away assuming everything went perfectly. That's how subtle these moments are. Now let's go deeper into the third mistake, because this one is the most invisible of all, the ghost hug. This is when your body is physically present, but your attention is somewhere else entirely. You hug her, but mentally you're distracted. Maybe you're thinking about what to say next. Maybe you're worrying about how you appear. Maybe your attention is on the people around you. Your body goes through the motion, but emotionally, you never truly arrive in the moment. Your muscles feel tense. Your breathing becomes shallow. The hug ends abruptly, almost like you're trying to escape from it instead of experience it. And she feels that instantly, not as rejection, not necessarily as discomfort, but as emptiness, disconnection. Because presence is not about what you do. It's about how fully you exist inside the moment while you're doing it. A ghost hug feels emotionally vacant. It communicates that the interaction never truly mattered enough for you to fully engage with it. And the reason this matters so much is because presence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess. When a man is genuinely present, he creates psychological safety without needing words. His attention is undivided. His energy feels calm and certain. He's completely there. And that level of presence is rare today, which is exactly why it leaves such a powerful impression. Now, imagine the opposite. A man who is physically close but emotionally absent. Her subconscious reads that as insecurity, distraction, or lack of genuine interest. Even if he actually likes her deeply, what she emotionally experiences becomes her reality. Let me give you another example. A woman hugs two different men within the same week. The first man is polite, articulate, and socially skilled. But during the hug, he feels distracted. His body is stiff. His attention seems scattered. The second man says less. He's quieter. But when he hugs her, he's calm, grounded, relaxed, fully there. Guess which one stays in her memory? This is the part most men misunderstand completely. Attraction is not always about doing more. Very often, it's about being more present in the moment that already exists. Now, here's something even deeper. Your body communicates more honestly than your words ever can. You can claim confidence verbally. You can try to appear relaxed. But your nervous system tells the truth through your touch, breathing, posture, and energy. And women sense that truth immediately, whether they consciously understand it or not. So how do you change this? How do you move away from hesitation, overcompensation, or emotional absence and step into something that actually creates connection? This is where the transformation begins, the masculine hug. And for a moment, forget whatever assumptions you normally attach to that phrase. This is not about domination. It's not about control. It's not about trying to impress anyone. It's about alignment. Your body, your intention, and your awareness, all moving together naturally in the same moment. It starts before the hug even happens. You make a decision without hesitation. You don't overanalyze. You don't freeze trying to calculate the perfect timing. When the moment naturally presents itself, you step forward calmly and confidently. Not rushed, not forced, just certain. That certainty is what she feels first. Before your arms even touch her, her nervous system already senses whether your energy feels grounded or uncertain. Now let's talk about posture, because it matters more than most men realize. Your stance should feel stable, balanced. When your feet are grounded, your entire body communicates emotional steadiness. And emotional steadiness is deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Your posture remains relaxed but strong, not stiff, not slouched, just naturally centered. Then come the arms. You don't throw them around her randomly or awkwardly. Your touch has intention. One hand rests comfortably between her shoulder blades. The other naturally settles around the middle of her back. Not too high, not too low. Enough to create connection while still respecting boundaries. And now comes the most overlooked part of all, your breath. The second many men go in for a hug, they unconsciously tense up. Their breathing changes. Sometimes they hold their breath completely without realizing it. Their body tightens, and that tension transfers directly into the interaction. But when you stay aware of your breathing, everything changes. You inhale naturally, you exhale slowly, your body relaxes instead of tightening, and relaxation spreads emotionally. Her nervous system begins mirroring yours. If you feel calm, she feels calmer. If you feel grounded, she experiences that grounding too. This isn't some abstract theory. This is how human nervous systems interact with each other biologically. Now let's talk about timing, because timing matters tremendously. A hug that ends too quickly feels emotionally shallow, almost like a formality. There's no emotional depth to it, but a hug that lingers too long starts creating tension and discomfort. The ideal range is usually somewhere between 2 and 4 seconds. Long enough for emotional connection to register, but natural enough that the moment still feels effortless. And here's the important part. You don't count the seconds mechanically, you feel the moment. You stay present long enough for the emotional connection to land, and then you release naturally. Not abruptly, not awkwardly. You step back smoothly. Maybe your hands lightly move down her arms as the hug ends. You maintain eye contact for another second. Your expression stays relaxed. Maybe there's a subtle smile. And in that brief moment, something stays with her emotionally. Not because of anything dramatic you did, but because she felt something genuine. Because here's the truth most people never say directly. A hug is never just a hug. It's emotional communication without words. It silently tells her who you are beneath the surface. Every time you hug a woman, you reveal something about your energy, your emotional awareness, your confidence, your presence, your ability to create safety, or your tendency toward hesitation. And people remember feelings far longer than they remember conversations. She may forget your exact words. She may forget what you wore. But she will remember how your presence made her feel. Let me give you another example that makes this even clearer. A woman goes on 2 dates during the same week. The first man is funny, charismatic, and socially impressive. He checks every box logically, but at the end of the date, the hug feels rushed, disconnected, slightly awkward. Nothing terrible about it, but nothing emotionally memorable either. The second man is simpler, maybe quieter. But when the moment comes, he hugs her with calm confidence. He's fully present, relaxed, grounded. He doesn't overdo it. He doesn't rush through it. For a few brief seconds, she feels emotionally safe, connected, and seen. Days later, which man occupies her thoughts? Usually the one who made her feel something deeper. That's where most men get attraction wrong. They focus almost entirely on words, techniques, clever lines, or trying to impress. But attraction often lives in emotional experience more than logic. An emotional experience is created through small moments exactly like this. So here's the mindset shift I want you to make. Stop viewing a hug as simply an action. Start seeing it as an emotional experience you create together. A moment where your energy communicates louder than your words ever could. Because once you approach it that way, your entire presence changes. Your body relaxes. Your mind quiets down. You stop performing and start genuinely experiencing the interaction. And that's when it becomes real. Here's something practical you can begin using immediately. The next time you're about to hug someone, pause internally for 1 second before moving forward. Not outwardly in a strange way, internally. Feel your feet grounded beneath you. Take 1 calm breath, then step into the moment. That tiny adjustment alone changes the quality of your presence instantly. During the hug, stay aware of only 2 things: your breath and your attention. Are you tense? Are you rushing? Or are you actually there emotionally? Because awareness creates connection. And when the hug ends, don't immediately rush away from the moment. Hold eye contact naturally for just a little longer than usual. Not forced, not intense, just relaxed and present. Allow the emotional moment to settle. That's how emotional memory is formed. Not through intensity, but through presence. And here's one final thought I want you to really sit with. What if the men people never forget aren't unforgettable because they do extraordinary things, but because they bring extraordinary presence into ordinary moments? Think about that carefully. Because once you truly understand it, it changes far more than hugs. It changes the way you show up in every interaction you have. So now I want to ask you honestly, which type of hug have you been giving most often? The weak hug, the aggressive hug, or the ghost hug? No judgment. Awareness is always the first step toward change. And if you made it all the way through this, it means you're paying attention to details most people completely ignore. And those subtle details are often what shape attraction the most. So if you want to continue learning the deeper psychology behind what women feel, but rarely explain openly, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in the next video, we're going to uncover another hidden behavior, something even more subtle than this, something that instantly influences whether a woman emotionally trusts you or not. And once you notice it, you'll never look at interactions the same way again. Until next time, remember this. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Viddy Q.